Finally, after nearly 2 years, here is part 2 of my Kikyo video. And to be honest, Kikyo is a character in which you really need no introduction. So, in this part of the life, death, and resurrection of Kikyo, we will be discussing the Inuyasha, the final act portion of her life. This is the finale to one of anime's GOATs. This is the finale to the story of Kikyo. After the last battle, Kikyo is now in a state in which she is weakening by the days. Due to Naraku's miasma, she is now no longer able to do things in which she could do before as a priestess. Though it's not as if she doesn't have any tricks left up her sleeves. Her large sleeves. She summons the soul of Midoriko so that the two may fuse together to help restore her body and heal her wounds. Though even this would ultimately be a temporary move, as even still, her wounds persist and her life is now on a timer. This is where things get a little interesting. Seeking out Kikyo, Kohaku finds her to do something surprising. Give Kikyo his jewel shards. Kikyo reminds Kohaku that by offering his shards to her, he is sacrificing his own life. But this is something Kohaku must do, and surprisingly does not fear death. As they walk together, Kikyo says to herself how under different circumstances, her only instinct at this moment would be to heal his soul, rather than to take his life. But as of this moment, her purpose and duty forbade her from giving him such courtesies, and thus all she can do is apologize for what she is about to do. From there, as they travel into the mountains, they are spotted by Koga, who just happens to run into them, while Kikyo also notices the presence of a jewel shard. As this happens, they bear witness to Moroyomaru flying through a cliffside, which knocks Kikyo off the side of a cliff. Though, thankfully, she survives the fall and is found by Koga. Though, she's not exactly grateful either. She tells Koga to stop pursuing Moroyomaru and to give her the jewel shards from his legs so that she may purify them. Though, Koga escapes as Kohaku catches up, and she laments how she wasn't able to prevent another unnecessary sacrifice. I'm gonna be honest, I really like this whole interaction thus far, because it really shows that Kikyo doesn't want to kill people. She wants to actually protect them and let them live long lives. But it's her circumstances that trap her in a cycle that only goes two ways. You either cooperate with her, or you die. It's really sad because much like how the jewel shards are corrupted, her morals themselves in pursuit of purifying them are being corrupted. As they continue their travel, they spot Moroyomaru's presence in the distance, realizing that they are not alone. Shortly thereafter, Kikyo and Kohaku arrive, confronting Kagome and Sango, as the two beg Kikyo to seek another way than to sacrifice Kohaku. Though, he tells Sango that it's his choice, and Kikyo further reminds them that this is the only way to stop Naraku. Though, it's actually Kagome who tries her best to convince her otherwise, and thus heads off to buy time to possibly save Kohaku and Koga. Her plan is to intervene in the fight with Moroyomaru and with Inuyasha. While this is happening, Koga is captured by Naraku, and as a promise to Kikyo, Kagome tries to save him with the help of her arrow, lending power to the souls of Koga's ancestors to help them break free of Naraku's restraints. This leads to Kikyo trying to help purify Naraku's miasma from Miroku by transferring it to her body so that she may cleanse it. But this is already a rather dangerous thing to do, as Naraku's miasma is already consuming her body. Though, it matters not, as she will keep the secret hidden from others. This surprises Sango, who thinks Kikyo is cold-hearted, when in reality, she is someone who will try to save others before resorting to ulterior decisions. Whatever those may be, of course. While this is happening, Naraku schemes on how to kill Kikyo. And his plan? Use his negative feelings. But as Miroku wakes up, he is informed by Kikyo that if he continues to use the wind tunnel, Naraku's miasma will kill him, though they agree to keep things between them as he wants to protect Sango. This leads to Inuyasha and Kikyo having a conversation shortly thereafter, where Inuyasha tells Kikyo to protect Kohaku, which she is adamant in doing along with freeing him from Naraku's grasp. This leads to Kikyo and Kohaku running into Naraku's webs, which she destroys until she herself is captured. Now captured, she realizes that she can't purify his webs as Inuyasha rushes in to rescue Kikyo, though they are both entrapped within those webs. And as they go to rescue the two, Kagome ends up seeing the memories of Inuyasha betraying Kikyo and pinning him to the tree. Now nothing is left in the air. This leads to a wild confrontation between them, and Naraku and Inuyasha fight. Though while this happens, Kagome tries to fire an arrow at Naraku, not knowing that by doing so, she would be playing into his hands. And so it's actually Kikyo who saves her from her own demise in a somewhat shocking twist. Though, now with Naraku being fended off for a moment, they turn their attention to the now defiled Kikyo from Naraku's webs. This is the moment which many had been waiting for. Kikyo, as if it were one of her tests that Kagome hated so much, wishes that she should fire her arrow now to purify the wounds and shards inside of her. Kagome takes a leap of faith and shoots her chest, purifying the Shikon jewel shards inside of her, and then using her soul collectors, guides the arrow to Naraku in an Hail Mary attempt to use the same arrow to purify him as well, destroying Naraku. Though, sadly, some things just aren't meant to be, and Naraku's demonic energy is too overpowering, even for Kikyo and Kagome combined, resulting in the purified shards now being tainted once more. But this does wound Naraku, and thus forces him to make a retreat, so at least it did that. But the attack would now seal Kikyo's fate once and for all, as death comes to finally take Kikyo for a third time. She is joined by Inuyasha and the two embrace, sharing a kiss and a couple of moments as she dies. From there, we're treated to a bittersweet scene as Kikyo is taken by her soul collectors into the sky to finally right the wrongs of her previous life. Needless to say, Kikyo's death in the final act is nothing short but sad, and at the same time, a satisfying and deserving death. At least thematically, of course. She was finally able to correct the wrongs that were made when Naraku mortally wounded her the first time. She made up with Inuyasha and learned it wasn't him who killed her, but Naraku. And so, she let go of her vengeful feelings and instead embraced the path she held before to help people. We can see this in the final act with Kikyo wanting to help Kohaku genuinely and becoming more accepting of Inuyasha and his friends, even Kagome. And of course, she got her moment with Inuyasha, the one she always wanted and the one that she deserved. The one that was at one point taken from her. Originally, in death, Kikyo died unfulfilled, heartbroken, and scorned. And now that death took her again, she left fulfilled, being able to leave just the way she always should have, as Kikyo. And that is the life, death, and resurrection of Kikyo. If you enjoyed the content I produce here, then please consider becoming a patron, as doing so will give you access to multiple perks like early access to my One Piece series 3 videos in advance. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.